Pfizer, BioNTech and AstraZeneca. Some names that will no doubt resonate with you as a glistening beam of hope amongst a seemingly bottomless pit of darkness. However, it is rather disconcerting to accept that this hope assumes that individual agents accept their responsibilities towards society. It has been said that our society is, by and large, the manifestation of postmodern thought, within instrumental philosophers such as Camus, Foucault, Sartre and de Beauvoir, and before them, Mill, Nietzsche and the like.
So what then does postmodernism and its precursors have to offer with respect to vaccinations? Does the emphasis on individual liberty dissuade the masses from what is perceived as top-down tyranny, or does the importance of the total good encourage us to in fact accept responsibility and vaccinate ourselves? To answer this question, we'll look at three key founding postmodern philosophies: Mill's utilitarianism, Nietzsche's naturalistic egoism, and post-structuralist existentialism. We'll argue that postmodern thought and its founding influences, despite their limitations, do indeed encourage us to accept responsibility and vaccinate ourselves.
Perhaps the most convincing argument for accepting responsibility is Mill's classical utilitarianism. Quite simply, that we should maximise the greatest good for the greatest number. This seems near irrefutable and is one of the most influential postmodern approaches on offer. It has been described as the identity of postmodern liberalism. It is clear to see that by desiring the total sum of happiness in society, one must accept the responsibility to vaccinate oneself.
However, tensions arise when defining happiness. Often, Bentham's idea of utility being the seeking of pleasure and the avoidance of pain is often conflated with Mill's greatest good. This confusion, though, can be avoided with a close reading of Mill's text Utilitarianism. In it, he explains that he promotes a good to the aggregate of all persons. Protection against infectious disease certainly fits this definition, which, unlike Benthamite and other Epicurean readings, includes intellectual goods too.
To postmodernism emphasise on the individual pursuits is perhaps a step in the wrong direction. This is illustrated most vividly by Nietzschean naturalistic egoism, later developed into ethical egoism. That is that the only ethical responsibility we ought to accept is that which promotes our own selfish gains, because the Uehiro accepts his only responsibility is to better his own flourishing. There is no need to protect others.
This argument, though, is a non sequitur. It doesn't follow that one's own selfish gains do not align with those of society. Although a healthy young adult may not feel as at risk as a pensioner, Nietzsche says that the overman guesses what remedies avail against what is harmful, in Ecce Homo. Therefore, the virtuous and wise overman would surely accept a responsibility to vaccinate oneself, according to Nietzsche, even if it is for his own benefit, or if it only improves his flourishing marginally.
Nietzschean ethics does not end there. Widely regarded as a precursor to existentialism, it would again seem that individual will triumphs over enlightened ideas of the common good. Jonathan Weber claims as originally defined by Dubois and Saussure, existentialism is the ethical theory that we ought to treat freedom as intrinsically valuable. Other post-structuralists have furthered this philosophy. This can be seen in Camus' The Outsider, where the protagonist Merceau acts only in his own interest, averse to the social norms and impositions.
It is important to note, however, that many of these ideas operated within the context of other ethical limitations. For example, Mill's harm principle states that one's liberty should only be extended insofar that it does not cause harm to others. This is still a central consequentialist belief today. Such a desire for the avoidance of harm as an ethical responsibility can also be seen with Sartrean existence. His belief that existence precedes essence has been used as an argument for accepting responsibility as opposed to so-called determinist excuse-making. This is widely believed to be a philosophy of humanism.
We therefore conclude that it is an ethical responsibility on the individual to vaccinate oneself, based entirely on postmodern philosophy and its foundation.
We believe that it generally encourages responsibility and total good, and that this can be applied to the modern-day issue of the responsibility to vaccinate oneself.
So please, let's look forward to a brighter, more intelligent future.